Hey gliders, how's it going? Good to see you all here. Good to see a number of you arriving. At the moment, we've got Amit, Corey, Amit, hey Amit, Julian, Kevin. Oh, loads of people arriving. Leski, Lisa, loads of you. Great to see you here. Corey, you've messaged in the group, is anyone here? And you've put your hand up. Yes, we're all here. We're just starting now. We're just letting a number of people arrive. We've also got David and Mark on the call, and we should have Yasmin coming along in a little bit to show us one of her apps that she launched on Product Hunt today. Anyway, so really good to see you all. We're going to go through our kind of standard structure of today, which is where I'll run through some of the features that we've released since we last had a Hangout, and then we'll go into some questions for Mark and David and Yasmin as well, hopefully. Just all the while from now on, if you have any questions, drop them into the Q&A or the chat. We'll try and answer them towards the end there. So, keep your mind going. If there's anything that you want to ask the team, we'll get to you later on. So I'm just going to share my screen. Great, cool. So I'm basing this kind of like presentation today on a Glide app. Obviously, that would be silly to do it on anything else. And there's a couple of things that are going on here that I want you to just be aware of whilst we're kind of going through it. So we've got a ton of releases because we had the summer holidays and some of us are away and things like that. So actually there's almost too much to go through today. So what I'm doing is kind of the major features, but you can actually follow along with this app. So if you're interested in having a look at it, I've detailed a number of other things in here. You can go to glidetogether5.glideapp.io. And you can also copy this app as well, which is a feature I'll talk about in a minute. So the first thing to note when you're kind of looking at Glide, if you haven't looked at it for a couple of months, there's tons of changes. The right-hand sidebar has changed and the left-hand sidebar has changed. We've got a whole new area called the data editor, which is where you can view and kind of do a number of things. It will expand in future, but a number of early things to do with references or relations. So let me show you it. So if I click on the data tab now, we can see that we've got my actual sheet there. Let me just show you actually the sheet that I was going to show you. Sorry, wrong one. Here we go. Here's my example app. Oh, hey, Yasmin's here. Hey, how's it going? All right. We'll come and say hi in a second. Yeah, nice to have you here. So here's a simple example of my employees app here. I have employees and locations. And at the moment, they don't link to each other. But I can use the data editor to do relations, what we used to call references, really, really easily now. And this is going to expand in future. So we see here we've got our employees, and then I've just written in a column to the side of it the location that they're in. But I can actually create a reference or a relation column to the other sheet, my locations sheet. So let me just show you how easy this is to do. Previously, you had to put this kind of slightly strange syntax in the top of your header of your column. Now Glide makes it super easy. So I hit new column and I need to link the items in, or sorry, the column location, which is where my locations are listed, with the column in the second sheet and the name of that column. Hopefully it'll make sense. I'll explain it a couple of times if you're new to these. So I want Glide to see that Marie works at Alcott Road. At the moment, that's just text saying Alcott Road. So I need to set up a relation column so that Glide kind of recognizes this connection. So I'm going to say location relation, and it's going to be the type relation. We're going to have lots more features in this. At the moment, it's just relations. And I'm going to link the column location, this one here, with the column in the locations sheet called name. And if I hit done, you'll see that we've got these values returned. And this is a really, really easy way for us to now add relations. It took a little while there because I was explaining it, but I'll do the other one much quicker. So if I just bring in a relation component now, you can see that Glide sees my location relation that we set up. So now we need to do locations to employees. So I'd like to list a one-to-many reference, if you will, where the location has many employees in it. So Alcott Road will have a number of people. So this is really easy to do, and I'll try and do it a bit quicker just to show you how simple it can be. So add a column, relation. I want the value and name to match the value in staff, and then location, and I hit match multiple, and we're done. So I don't know if you've done relations, what were called references before in Glide, but it took a lot longer than that. So this is great. One of the many features that will improve stuff. All I do now is just hit inline list. So a lot cooler. So let's head back to our Glide app, which you can copy, by the way. So another thing that we've been working on, I've been working on particularly, is the Learn to Glide area of the website. And it's early days at the moment, but we've got a couple of early introductory courses to Glide, and we're going to be expanding upon a new one based upon the data editor soon. So always interested in your feedback and any courses or particular tutorials that you think that we might need. So you can always email me, Jack@Glide Apps, or through Intercom. Just let us know any ideas that you think of. The other thing that I've skipped over a little bit here is that I've set up these checkboxes. So that's a new component that we have, and you can do cool things with checkboxes. They're a bit like the switch component. You see here that I've just checked this now. And if you do a number of, like, if you just do a few things in your sheet, you can make that affect other things in your app. This doesn't seem to be doing it right now because I'm in a demo. There we go. Great. So I've now done data editor. I've done Learn to Glide. Filter and sort is another thing. You can see there's plenty of things to go to today. On our side panel on the right here, we've got a new features area, which is where we can filter and sort lists. So we used to be able to, we've always been able to, or for quite a while, been able to reverse lists, but we can now add a sort. So I can do it by name alphabetically or reverse alphabetically, which is useful. And I can do this on any of my columns, which is quite useful. But let's say that, I'm just going to get rid of that. Let's say actually I want to filter this list. Say this is a much longer list. I've done it here small to make it easy. What I can do is I can say, let's filter the name is Marie. That's really obvious. That's not exactly a use case that you'd have. Let's try, well, I know there's a column in my sheet, which is manager. So I'm going to say, or job. Say job is manager. And now we've filtered this list, and we can go back and then look at that list again, and it will be filtered. So you can do this on multiple different views of different lists in your app, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Corey says, sorry, I can't find the sample app, number 5. Where did I put it? I'll try and put it in the chat. There we go. Cool. I'm going to stop taking these off because you can see it's easy. So we've got, I mentioned earlier about making the app template, and this is the thing. So when you go to Glide Together, what you can just do is you can click copy this app, and this will go straight to your actual builder inside of Glide. And this just makes it so much easier for people to share templates with each other, and just a whole lot of use cases as well. So really, really excited about that, and using some of our community's apps as well to kind of spread around will be really exciting in the future for this. You got it, Corey. Great. Cool. Thanks for all these questions coming in, guys. That's fantastic. We'll get to those in a sec. So let's go back. Inline list, there's a couple of updates. We've got per user and maps. So if you, I won't do it in this tutorial here because it's kind of a bit finicky, but you can actually filter inline lists per user. So if your app relies on per user data, so you've got different users logged in, they can see their own items in inline lists, which previously you couldn't. Now, if we go to this inline list, what you can see here is that we've got a new layout for that inline list, which is map view, which is super useful. This was a highly requested feature in our wish list and on the forums. Cool. So next one is required fields. If you've ever used forms, you'll probably know that you quite often want your users to fill in certain fields. Quite often people will miss stuff, or the actual purpose of them filling in the form is to give this piece of information. So you can now make them required. And the way that you do this is that you go to one of your entry components and you click on it and you enable required. So if I unenable that, it goes away. If I enable that, it's back. So I have to put data in here to actually submit the form. You see here, if I haven't got anything, I can't submit it. But as soon as I do, I can hit submit, which is great. And we've got that nice little sent feature there. So new thing as well, which is relevant, really relevant to our community, is the experts, the Glide experts. And I just want to showcase them for the first time. We haven't actually had this on a Glide Together. We haven't shown you this. We've got a whole new page on the website, which is our certified experts and our community experts. And there's a whole number of you there who are who've gotten in touch with us and shown us that you're really experienced with making apps. So if you're not so experienced with making apps, with Glide, you can reach out to these people and gain extra help from them. So really, really pleased to have you guys on board, the certified experts and the community experts. Fantastic. Oh yeah, so this is another one which I really like. And a number of you who use apps for where you have an app which might be like an admin app where you control everything, and then another app which is like the user-facing app. This is a really, really useful feature. So one of the things I found, and I'm sure you guys have found, is that if you're building an app, you spend all this time on it, and then you think, okay, right, I need to do another variation on this, but I need it to still be connected. What you'd have to do previously is you'd have to start an entirely new app from scratch, work it all the way up, copy it exactly across, but it was still based on the same sheet. Now, when you duplicate an app, you can just go like this. You can just click duplicate, and then Glide will ask you, do you want to keep the same sheet so that these two apps are relating from the same data, or do you want to copy the sheet and therefore have two very separate, completely separate apps? That's really, really useful. I can't show you in this here. I could probably open it up on my phone, but it might take a while. I should have got prepared beforehand with that. But basically, if you download this app at Glide Together, glidetogether5.glideapp.io, what you'll see is that this button here triggers the share sheet in iOS and I believe Android as well, which is really, really useful because you can actually create CTAs, call to actions in your apps to actually show users how to share this app with other people and help them disseminate it. So another really cool thing, we've got loads of questions in. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for you guys as well who are answering it. We'll get to them in a sec. We've got a new pro component, which is called the file picker, which is like the image upload or the image picker, but with files. So really useful. I'm just going to click here. I've got a document on my desktop, and this will upload. And you can see now I've actually also tied that column to a download component, or sorry, a button component, and I can just excuse me, hit download there. So really, really useful. Another little feature, we're almost done, guys, almost done, is user map location. So I won't show you here, obviously, but you can see now that on the features, not on the features, sorry, on the, what am I on about here? Let's go to, here we go. So on the properties of the map layout, you can actually allow users to show the current location. So this is a pro feature, obviously, but you can click that and then you'll have this little find me button or location button in your app, which is super useful for kind of city guides and things like that. So one of the biggest ones for today is our new community. And I'm sure many of you have been there already, but we've moved the community to a new home. We used to be at Spectrum and we've moved to Discourse. So I'm just going to click on it here. It's also sort of within our website as well. So this is our new home where I hope you'll all find it a little bit more usable. We found Spectrum a little bit strange towards the end. We lost some data and stuff like that, but we kind of believe that this will be a really great foundation or home for everyone's future. One of the best things I love about it is the search functionality. It's so good. You find exactly what you're searching for so much quicker than you did on Spectrum. So if you want to download this app, you can also, or have a look at it, you can also see a list of all the updates, not the sort of main features and stuff like that. So, so that's kind of it from me. I think probably next, unless we want to, David and Mark, I don't know whether you want to tackle some of these questions now, or whether we should chat with Yasmin. What do you guys think?
Let's see Yasmin's app.
Awesome, great. Yasmin, are you online? Able to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm online.
Fantastic.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. I'm just going to stop my sharing.
Perfect. Cool. So why don't I just share my screen, or does everyone already see my screen?
No, you'll need to hit the share screen, the bottom green button at the bottom of Zoom.
Got it. Cool.
Nice one. So Yasmin launched today, is that right, on Product Hunt? Am I right?
Yeah, I guess Product Hunt.
Yeah,
Do you guys
fantastic.
see the two, sort of the Glide screen and the Google Sheets?
Absolutely, yeah, we can see your whole screen. That's great.
Okay, perfect.
So tell us about your app.
Okay, perfect. So I guess a bit of context. I'm an investor, venture capital investor in Silicon Valley, and we deal with a lot of software-based companies. And I'm a growth investor, so we typically deal with companies who have a few years of financial data, and we do a ton of work sort of benchmarking them and their performance against publicly available data from public companies. The tools we use are sort of very legacy tools, are often desktop based. Our jobs happen to be very mobile and on the go. So every time looking at any of these financials on your mobile, it would take 20 clicks and zooming in and out of PDFs on a company by company basis. So I discovered Glide, I don't know, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, and I was sort of playing around with it. And I thought, hey, why don't I just put all of this under one roof in one app? Such that I could use it and start adding metrics and calculations the way I'd want to see them, as opposed to rely on how these companies announce their earnings. So played around with Glide, and sort of this is the format that I came up with, and David sort of helped me put it together, in a way that I can carry on doing this and updating this as new financials are released every quarter.
Right.
So essentially what you see here is 50 public cloud companies, and these are software as a service companies. Some of these names you might know, like Salesforce and Zoom and Twilio, Slack. Some of them are sort of more peculiar companies, but the common denominator here is that they're all public software as a service entities. And you can sort of come here, search them by name. Underneath each name, it's the market cap. So this is pulling from Google Finance, the market cap, the most recent market cap of each of these entities. Like Shopify is a $36 billion company, Salesforce is $133 billion. And then once you click on each of them, you sort of dive into what is the financials from the most recent quarter that they've announced. So in the case of Salesforce, this is their second quarter because their fiscal year ends in January. And here are some outputs. So you can see their most recent ARR. ARR is annualized revenue run rate. The previous quarter's ARR, you see how much new ARR they added, a bunch of other metrics like gross margin, sales and marketing as a percentage of revenue, and a bunch of sales efficiency metrics that are very relevant to software as a service businesses. So you have that sort of here for many of these companies, or all of the public ones. And then I guess relevant to what you were just showing is this sort of inline list below, which in addition to what you're seeing here, enables you to go back and find quarterly earnings from previous quarters. So Q2, Q1, Q4 of last year, and sort of go through them on a company by company basis.
Amazing.
I guess maybe to give some context as to what is sort of feeding this.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
We can go to the sheet I'd made. So this is the main sheet that's driving the output, the front page output for each company. So this section, it's pretty standard. There's nothing, these are Google Finance formulas. There's nothing fancy here. I guess the only thing is that I have a second sheet, which is called quarterly earnings. And this is more or less like a database with every time a new company announces their earnings, I basically just add it here as a new row. So if we go to Salesforce, for instance, you can see you can see that these are the 3 quarters of financial reports I have from Salesforce. And if they added a new one for next quarter, I'll just be adding it here. But the way the app visualizes it is obviously, if you go to Salesforce, we can see these as individual entities here. So this is that inline list feature that you mentioned. And the way I sort of linked many entities from this sheet to a single entity from this sheet was by adding this column that said company. So the column is called company, and it's equating quarterly earnings to company name multiple from this sheet. So it's going to show up as company in my ad, and it's basically saying every row here is matching multiple rows in this sheet called quarterly earnings with the title company name.
And for those of you who are watching and that kind of goes over your head a little bit, that header bit of text there that Yasmin was talking about was what we were talking about just a minute ago with the new data editor, that we're trying to make this a lot easier and a lot more accessible. It just so happens I have a ton of apps as well, Yasmin, that have the old way of doing references rather than this new data editor. I just wanted to explain that to people.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think there is now a UI for this, but
yeah, for sure.
Essentially, what this column is going to do is that it's going to create a company sort of entity in my app that I can choose from, and it's linking every row here to many rows with the same name on this sheet.
Yeah.
And the way that works is that if you come here, sorry, let me minimize this one sec. If you come here to my overall sort of app, this is the inline list. I'm sort of selecting company. And then these are just sort of the details I want to show. I can play around with it. And then in the features, I get to reverse it or not reverse it. I wanted it reversed because I want it to be, temporal.
Sure.
And that's kind of it. So you now go through each of these, and each of these represents one row here.
Amazing. So you sounded like you found Glide not long ago. This is often a story that we hear from people, which is, and then they sort of can quite quickly get something off the ground. What you mentioned that you spoke with David a little bit to get just chat a couple of things through. Was there anything specific, like what was particularly hard about building this? And are there any other features that you feel like right now you're thinking, I would love to have this and it doesn't quite meet it yet?
Yeah, so I think the conversation with David was helpful in helping me think through how to structure my backend such that it will be scalable, but also it'll enable me to use the new features that are on your roadmap and are coming. And sort of he gave me the inspiration of making everything into a database format, which is sort of what you're seeing here on this page. In terms of features, I guess I launched this. I mean, I put this out there today. And there's been a lot of requests for, hey, it seems like you're dealing with sort of time series data-ish, quarterly data. We'd love to be able to see trend lines. We'd love to be able to see sort of averages or non-averages or deciles or quartiles of performance. So just thinking through, what are the best ways of showing that, I think would be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I could probably create entries, which is median or top quartile, and they would just show up as if they're a new company on this list, but maybe there's better way of doing that.
Okay. Fantastic.
But yeah, otherwise I love it. I'm excited to see what you guys do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Us too with yours. So, and you mentioned you've had just a few like sort of questions and stuff like that from people. Who are those people? Talk a little bit about your users and who you hope will be using this in future, because I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, so I think essentially the end user here is anyone who has any interest in quickly accessing public financial data of these sort of companies. And essentially, it probably is very relevant to investors, public and private. It's probably relevant to founders of software as a service companies who are sort of looking for inspiration or following some of these companies pretty closely. But as I mentioned earlier, getting to the actual financials is usually 20 to 30 clicks plus a bunch of Excel formulas. So it's predominantly for, the tech curious, the investors, and the founders and employees of probably software as a service companies. But it doesn't have to be. And I guess the replacement of it would be tools like Bloomberg and CapIQ, which obviously have a ton more data, but are also, pretty expensive and non-mobile.
Right. Okay. And so what's next over the next month or so? You obviously just launched, you're just going to get some feedback. Do you have any ideas about where you're taking this next?
Yeah, so I'd obviously be adding a lot more names as companies go public. So I think
Sure.
there's a few that have recently gone public that are not here. There's going to be quarterly earnings coming up.
And sorry if I missed this. Sorry to interrupt there. Did I miss you saying anything about? Is that all manual, or do you have any of that automated?
I don't have a lot of it automated. Some of it is automated from Google Finance. Some of it is just sort of pulling data pieces from SEC filings that the companies do, and they generally publish it on PDFs on their website. But the act of putting it together is not super.
No, sure.
It's just sort of, it doesn't exist in one place. In terms of where I want to take it, I guess it would be a function of the features that you guys release and what can be done with sort of, having a backend data base that is tracking financial performance for a bunch of these companies. But I think charts would be pretty helpful.
Sure.
I can't quite imagine yet what it would look like. And being able to have entities here that are sort of representing averages or means of each single entity would be helpful. Yeah, those are kind of the things that people have brought up, and some of them were already on my mind as I was making this.
Yeah, amazing. And do you have any other little thoughts for apps that you might make in future, or this is presumably obviously a very significant one?
This is my second app.
Oh, right. I missed that. Sorry about that.
I already made one for our fund to track our investments. So for per portfolio, we have a similar page with a company with each fund has a tab, and within each we have all the different investments we've made. And by clicking on each of those, we get to see, what was our entry price, how much of the company do we own, what was sort of the last valuation. And it's just an easy way for everyone on the team to always be able to see that data. Previously, we'd have to open Google Sheets on our phones, zooming in and out, left and right. It's just a really horrible experience. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if I have any other ideas.
No, that's great. Listen, it's been awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Everyone. Ciao.
Yeah, nice one. And you can stop sharing your screen. Fantastic. So David and Mark, if you guys want to pop on as well, that'd be awesome. I'm just gonna have a quick look through some of the questions. One sec. Wait, look, there we go. All in the room together. Look at that. Hey guys. So you guys met Adrian last time as well, but we've also got Dan. Hey, Dan.
Yep. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right?
Dan, you want to tell everyone what you've been working on this week?
Can I share it?
Share it.
All right. We're getting push notifications for comments in chat soon. No, not that. I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
No, I mean, that's
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's only for Android and certain desktop browsers at this point. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do on iOS, but for Android and desktop browsers, we've got it to a point where you can go to a comment thread or a chat thread, and you can receive push notifications for it the way you would previously email notifications.
Awesome.
And I open up the usefulness of the chat and comment features a lot.
Awesome, man. Well, we're really excited about that. Someone actually asked me about that just today in the forum, and I was like, I can't say quite yet. You know what it's like with features. So that's great. Fantastic. Cool. So I don't know, Mark, whether you've got some of the questions open there as well. You can help me out.
I'm answering questions as we go.
Oh, fantastic. What, in the chat box?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
There was one question or two questions about sorting and filtering. So people asked, does the sorting that you do in the Glide app affect the Google Sheet in any way? And the answer is no. It's all done in Glide. It has no effect on the Google Sheet. Same thing with filtering. People have also asked, can we do compound filters, like filter for this thing being this as well as this being this, or maybe this or this? And We have designs for that. We're going to implement it. We just don't have it yet, but it's totally on the roadmap. Thanks to Adrian. What else? Somebody asked, how do you become an expert? Just send us an email, hello@glideapps.com, and include a few like cool apps that you've made.
Also get involved in our new community forum.
Yes,
That's
please.
probably the best way. Answering people's questions, helping people there will help you become an expert.
For sure.
People have been asking about payments. David, do you want to say anything about
Yeah,
that?
so we have a pro component called the buy button that will let you connect your Stripe account and allow people to do simple purchasing in your app. It's coming very soon. We're just making some final preparations to share it with everyone. Initially, this feature is very simple. It will let you add as a standard button component to every item in a list, a button that will open up a payment form. And there's no options and there's no cart functionality. It's just you can buy one item. And we're going to launch this and learn from it. We're very likely will expand that functionality, but it'll be very simple to start and it will be available for pro apps.
Awesome. Really excited about that one.
Yeah, we have you can see it if you go to swag, S-W-A-G, swag.glideapp.io. We have a little t-shirt store where you can buy this amazing t-shirt that I'm modeling. And so you can see how it works. And you'll see the shortcomings too. Obviously, when you buy a t-shirt, you might want to say what size you are. We don't have that. But we'll contact you and we'll give you a concierge service to help you select the t-shirt that's just the perfect size for you.
Yeah. Again, hopefully I'll get one at some point. Maybe I'll have to buy one.
I mean, I had to buy one, so, but that was by accident.
Mark, you're cracking away there with other questions. Are there any other ones that were worth highlighting?
There are a bunch of very specific ones, like regarding images, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, nothing of particular
Sure.
general.
Nice one. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to go over or talk about today, David? We're coming sort of towards the end of a kind of 6-month kind of period process. Like, what's it been like, and what are you thinking for, the next period?
Well, I mean, we're really excited to launch some of the final features on our 6-month roadmap that's culminating in the next couple of weeks. And one of the most significant features is computed columns or formulas in Glide. So we have this new area that Jack showed on the call called the data editor. And right now, it merely shows the information from your sheet as far as Glide understands it and lets you create these relation columns. But soon we're going to add the ability to do like an if-then column and a text template column, which will draw values from other columns and let you sort of make a label, for example, that you can show in your app. So Jack, in the example app, when you checked a checkbox that was going to put an emoji and rewrite a label, there was a delay there because it was going to do it has to do a round trip to your Google Sheet. But with the if then and the text template columns that we're working on right now, all of that will be instantaneous within your app. So that's what's coming up in the next few weeks, and we're very excited about that because it's just going to be so powerful and it's going to unlock so many different types of apps that people really can't build right now. You have to be a Yasmin level spreadsheet master to do a lot of those things, but we're trying to make it more accessible to anybody, so you don't even have to read documentation. You could just create one of these columns. Yeah, and then we have had a ton of community feedback about the most requested features, and we're about to do a team meeting in the coming weeks to review all that information and set our priorities going forward. One that we've heard a lot from everyone that we're really interested in providing is collaboration. The ability to invite your fellow colleagues, teachers, peers in your classroom to collaborate on apps with you. It's just really important to so many people we've talked to. So, and we want it too for ourselves because we make Glide apps to run Glide, and we're always trying to transfer them to each other and creating special Google accounts where we can access them. So we just want that for ourselves as well.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. that one of the things also I wanted to ask was is there anything that any of you have seen, any particular apps that have, or that people are doing that are kind of really exciting you guys and also informing the way that, you know, we're building Glide? Is there anything that particularly stands out?
You know, it's been all over the map. One of the use cases that I really like to see, it's not super sensational, but I love to see when a company creates a Glide app that starts as, for example, an employee directory. This is the example we always go back to as the simple Glide app we had in mind when we first started Glide. To see those apps get created and they gradually accumulate new interesting features like reference information about benefits for the rest of the company, or like a calendar with employee birthdays. It's not very fancy, but that makes me really happy. I'm trying to think of some other interesting use cases we saw in the past few weeks. Is there anything you guys want to share?
There was a really cool app that I think we shared on the Glide account, or at least you shared with me, David. Let me just try and get the link.
I also love seeing festival apps. That's very interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. This was the one. It was the Julien Piao, I think. Let me just try and get a link to the app and show everyone. Cool. So this one I absolutely loved. It's a really great example of what great images and great use of images in the image component do to your app. So you can see here just a really, really simple thing, but you can see that the image component here, or at least seems like it's bending up. And you can actually sort of click on this and then go to another page. So he's drawn or sort of created buttons on there, which are making you feel like that you're actually interacting with that. And both Contact Club and question mark take you to the same place, but it kind of feels a little bit more, user-friendly. There's then these kind of middle sections, which is really great. I think Martin may have shown these in a previous Glide together. But if you look here, I go to one page. If I click on this button here, my French is awful, so I'm not going to pronounce it. And then if I click on this button here, I go to a different page, which is really, really cool. So the way that he's doing that, I presume anyway, I assume it's the only way I can think of, is that you have two image components that kind of split up that graphic into two ways there. Makes it look really, really beautiful. Lots of cool ways. So this is a really good one. Hopefully you can all see this here, the actual URL. I'll try and put it in the chat as well. Really, really good one to look at, and you guys can reach out to him on Twitter as well.
He's online.
What was that, Adrian?
He's online right now.
He's in
Oh, no way, Julian. Sorry, I missed you. There you go. Awesome stuff. There you go. There he is. Hi. Sweet. So there are more questions coming in. I'm wondering whether we should wrap it up, guys. What do you think?
I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, thanks everyone as usual for coming along and being so involved with the chat and the questions. We'll see you all in the community at community.glideapps.com. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.